So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make the sauce for the swordfish. So I thought instead of the tomato basil caper sauce, we'd make a sauce Provençal. So I've added anchovies and peppers, and I think it's gonna be really good.
It's a little different from the original.
So you've got julienne peppers, and I'm doing fennel and onions and garlic. We're gonna put it in a saute pan and just cook them together and then get the tomatoes ready.
Okay, great.
Great, so into the pan. Peppers, onions. Oh, that smells good already.
Oh, yeah. The fennel's so nice in this
Smells
dish.
great, doesn't it? And a little garlic. Usually I actually add the garlic at the end so it doesn't burn, but because there are so many vegetables, it's not a problem. Okay, we're gonna get some tomatoes. I just diced them in the food processor. So they go right into the sauteed peppers and onions and garlic. It's gonna make a great sauce.
Delish.
Isn't that great? Doesn't that look
This
fabulous?
is one of the great sauces of all time.
Thank you.
It really is.
And a little white wine.
Okay.
Do you like anchovies?
Sure,
Is that
go for
okay?
it.
So
Do you chop them up, or are you gonna just
No.
slap that thing in there?
I think I might chop it up. That's a good idea. Let's chop it up. You want to chop it up?
Let me tell you another thing about cooking.
I'm going to take a tip from you and just dice it up. I think it'll cook away in the sauce, but it's even better if it's chopped up. So nobody ends up eating an anchovy.
Right. No one even knows they're in there. It's better that
That's
way.
exactly right. Salty fish. Okay, I think a little salt and pepper. Are you on the
Okay.
pepper?
I'll
I'm
do
on
the
salt.
pepper.
Okay, fabulous.
It's great depth of flavor, Ina.
Do I say that all the time?
All the time. Got
Fresh
plenty.
basil and about 2 tablespoons of capers drained, about a tablespoon of butter. Okay, give it a stir. Let's see if I can do it without getting it all over your stove.
Yeah, right. Or without all over your shirt.
So that's the sauce. Okay, now we're gonna grill the swordfish.
Okay,
so
what's
you want to
first?
drizzle on some olive oil. I'm just gonna brush it. Salt and pepper, just like that. This is perfect. Okay, now I'm just gonna oil the grill really fast.
Okay.
Not too much oil, otherwise you end up burning the house down. And then I'm just gonna put it on the flames for about 5 to 10 minutes on each side.
Okay.
I like it really, really undercooked. Uh-oh, I think it's time to turn the fish, don't you?
How can you tell?
You know, when it's cooked on the bottom and it's still a little raw on the top and you flip it over, and if you're wrong, you can flip it back again. So
You
it's-
can?
You can,
You
of
can
course you
flip
can.
it back?
How's that?
That's a
And you want it
revelation.
so it's just a little underdone in the middle, and then when it sits, it'll cook a little more.
Mm-hmm.
So what are your, like, classic things that you make for everyday dinners?
My middle one loves your meatballs.
Oh,
so
isn't that
those,
great? Yeah.
she says Monday night meatballs. She wants them every single Monday night.
And do you
Yeah.
make them every Monday night?
Pretty much.
Wow.
Sometimes I freeze some.
Yeah.
And
And you
use
can
those.
roast them then.
Right.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah. Actually, we're ready.
Okay.
So we have 2 plates under here, and I'm gonna put sauce on the plates. Oh, it's gonna be great. It's just fabulous. Like that. I kinda like to put the sauce on the bottom, and then put the fish on top.
All these peppers. It's so different than when I've made it before.
Well, it just has, the peppers really give it a lot of texture and a lot of flavor.
And a lot of body.
Such a California dish. There's something about California and Provence that just seem to go together, don't
Yeah.
they? It's
The same
fantastic.
colors, the same feel.
And the same herbs and spices. Okay, now the swordfish.
Okay.
Okay, so 1 piece of swordfish. Wow. Think that's enough? It's like enough for the entire family. And the second piece of swordfish, just like that. And I think maybe just a little garnish, a little sauce on top. How's that? Everybody needs a few ideas for a quick dinner up their sleeve. And one of my favorites is roasted salmon with fresh green herbs. Good thing is I can just pick up some salmon and fresh herbs on the way home, and I've got dinner. So I'm gonna start with 2 to 2.5 pounds of fresh salmon fillet. It's gonna feed about 6 people. I've asked the fish store to take the skin off. Okay, into a dish, season it really well. Salt, lots of fresh pepper. Okay, first thing I need is 1/4 cup of olive oil. Here's a good fruity olive oil. So this really is like making a vinaigrette. I'm gonna do olive oil and lemon juice. So 1/4 cup of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice. Just right in the measuring cup. It's the easiest way to do it. This is actually my favorite vinaigrette for arugula too. But on the salmon, actually the salmon just sort of absorbs all the flavors. It's fantastic. Just pour it right over, just evenly over the salmon. So what I need is lots of fresh green herbs. So I'm gonna do 1/2 cup of scallions, 1/2 cup of parsley, and 1/2 cup of dill. This whole dish cooks in like 10 minutes, so you want really tender green herbs, whichever you have. So 1/2 cup of scallions, next 1/2 cup of fresh parsley. So I'm just gonna roughly take the leaves off. Certainly don't want to cut each leaf off, it'll drive you crazy. One of the nicest things about this dish is it cooks so quickly that it keeps the herbs really bright green. So just think the salmon is really bright orange or salmon colored, and the herbs are green, so it's a really gorgeous dish. Okay, next is about a half a cup of fresh dill. Just give it a big rough chop. I like to cut it roughly because then you can really see the dill. Okay, just combine these together. Look how great they look. I'm gonna take the whole thing and just cover the top of the salmon with it. Just like that, just put it right on top. And then the herbs are gonna cook and all those delicious flavors are gonna get into the salmon. And then when I cut it, they'll still be on top. Fantastic, okay, that's the herbs. Next, a little white wine. I like to use Pinot Grigio, any kind of dry white wine would be great. I'm just gonna pour a quarter of a cup right over the salmon into the oven, 425 degrees for about 10 to 12 minutes. Now, it doesn't get any easier than that. So the salmon's all ready. You can touch it, and if it springs back, it's probably done, but frankly, I have to cheat. Put a little slit in the middle of it. It needs to be still a little bit raw in the middle because it's gonna keep cooking as I let it rest. So I'm gonna cover it with aluminum foil for about 15 minutes. And it's gonna keep all the heat in, and then the salmon's gonna cook all the way through. In the meantime, I'm gonna get the platter ready. Okay, salmon's rested, completely done. Oh, this looks fantastic. I'm just gonna take the whole piece and put it right on the platter, right in the middle. I always like to have a square platter for a square piece of fish. Okay, this is where a sharp knife comes in handy. So I need to cut it in 6 pieces. So what I do is I cut it in half and then cut those halves in thirds. This smells delicious. You can smell the fresh herbs because they're warm, and the salmon's perfectly cooked inside. And this is why I have the fish store take the skin off, because it's impossible to cut through it. This is such a nice, simple dish that goes with almost anything. Basmati rice, carrots, peas, whatever you have around. Perfect. Okay, lots of fresh herbs. Okay, now, I always like a squeeze of lemon. It's that last bit of lemon that you taste first that gives it a little bit of edge, which I like. So a little squeeze of lemon. Just put it right on the plate. A little bunch of fresh dill. Now, that was pretty easy. Roasted striped bass is a really easy thing to make, and it actually looks fantastic. First, I'm gonna make a sauce with lots of Mediterranean flavors. Saffron, garlic, tomatoes, and then we're gonna bake the striped bass in the sauce. So first for the sauce, I need 2 tablespoons of olive oil, about a cup of chopped onion, 2 ounces of pancetta, give it a little smoky flavor. You can use bacon if you can't find pancetta. I'm gonna cook the pancetta and onions together for about 10 minutes until the onions are translucent and the pancetta is cooked. So just about a tablespoon of chopped garlic. It's about 3 large cloves of garlic. Right in. Just cook it for a minute, just until the garlic starts to cook. Okay, now I need some tomatoes. 1 can of chopped tomatoes. I want to drain the tomatoes. I'm just going to take them out with a slotted spoon, right into the sauce. Just like that, okay. Just stir them in. Okay, give it even more flavor. A little saffron, very Mediterranean. Teaspoon of salt. I always use kosher salt. Half a teaspoon of pepper. And some wine, about a half a cup of white wine. Always use a good wine that you would drink. And just to give it even more flavor, about a quarter cup of Pernod, which is a fennel flavored liqueur. Just enough. That's a real Provençal flavor. So the sauce is going to simmer for about 5 minutes. I'm going to get the fish ready. I have 1 bass fillet. an incredibly large bass fillet, which I'm going to cut in half so it'll fit in the dish. Just cut it right in half. Turn it around. Okay, that looks good. Just like that. I have about 24 mussels that have been cleaned. Just put them right on top. And a pound of shrimp that I actually peeled and deveined, but I just left the tails on because I think it looks great. Just like that. Sprinkle it with salt and pepper. Okay, right on the top. Okay, I'm gonna bake at 350 degrees for about 20 to 30 minutes until the fish is just cooked and the mussels are open. Everybody enjoyed it. Striped bass with shrimp and mussels. Baked cod with garlic and herb Ritz crumbs. So I've got 4 center cut cod fillets. I like cod because it's kind of a meaty fish, but they're center cut because if you choose the end, it's gonna be thin and they won't cook evenly. So 4 center cut cod fillets. I brush the bottom with olive oil, put the cod on top. I'm gonna brush the top with olive oil, and that way they're just gonna brown really nicely. You don't want something that's gonna flake too much because it just doesn't have the same kind of substance to it. So olive oil, lots of salt and pepper. You want it to be really well seasoned, and some pepper. Okay, into the oven, 400 degrees for just 10 minutes. Okay, now for the topping. So I'm starting with Ritz crackers. Bet you didn't think I'd be cooking with those, but they're really buttery and they have lots of flavor. So I'm taking about 15 Ritz crackers, crumbling them up. I need cracker crumbs. Just break them up into the food processor. This is retro food, but made more modern. I really like the salty kind of buttery thing going with the fish. Okay, that's about a half a cup of Ritz cracker crumbs. If I can get it off. Right into a bowl. And to that, I'm going to add half a cup of panko crumbs and make it really crunchy. 2 tablespoons of minced parsley. 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. Give it lots of flavor. And some melted butter. Just pour it over. And this is going to make it brown and delicious because butter makes everything better, right? You always want some kind of oil or butter on the panko. Panko is actually Japanese bread flakes, and it's really popular now, and you can find it in any grocery store. I don't know what we did without it 10 years ago. Okay, I'm going to add some lemon zest to give it kind of a nice edge. About a teaspoon. Let's see. I always do it right over the thing that I'm zesting it into because it really catches the oils. Much more flavor. More flavor in the zest than in the juice, but we'll use the juice later. Okay, that should be about a teaspoon. Some salt. Give it a stir. As I said, baked fish can be kind of boring. It's this crumb topping that really gives it so much flavor. Actually, not only is it crumb topping, but it becomes part of the sauce. Okay, the first stage of the fish should be done in the oven. Perfect. Okay, so now I'm going to add about a quarter of a cup of dry white wine, and I'm going to pour it actually directly on the fillets so the flavor really gets into the fillets. Just like that. A couple of tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice right on the fillets. Try and catch the seeds in your hand. And then I'm going to put the crumbs directly onto the fillets. Just pile them on. If some of them fall into the dish, it's not a problem because they'll really get incorporated in the sauce and flavor the sauce as well. It's a lot of crumbs, but it really gives the whole thing a lot of flavor. I think fish can be kind of scary to cook because you always think you're going to overcook it. But if you have fillets that are all the same thickness and they cook evenly, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, back into the oven, 400 degrees for exactly 12 minutes. It's going to be so good. So the fish should be ready. This looks great. See how it makes crispy topping and also really nice sauce? I love the way it looks. I love the way it tastes. And you can see that the sauce is kind of thickened by the panko and the Ritz crackers. Yum. So we'll just do a little lemon in the dish. One of the great things about this dish is the dish goes right to the table. Don't need to put it on a platter or anything. I just like to serve it with extra lemon though. Just put it right in the dish. People can help themselves. I just need a little taste because it looks so good. Think anybody missed this little corner? Crispy crumbs, garlic and herbs, white wine and lemon sauce. This looks so good. The garlic and the herbs and the lemon and wine. Nothing boring about this fish dish. Everybody's gonna love it. I'm making this incredible seafood stew called cioppino. And in the fridge, I've got cod, scallops, shrimp, and mussels. And those are for later. But first, I need seafood stock to make the base of the stew. So the base starts with fennel and onions. I've got 2 cups of diced fennel, 1.5 cups of diced onions. I've just cooked them in a little olive oil just until they're tender, about 10 minutes. Okay, now I'm gonna add 3 cloves of garlic. This is a seafood stew and it's Italian, so it has lots of garlic. 1 teaspoon of whole fennel seeds. Really gives us an intense fennel flavor. Just really good with seafood. 1/2 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. Give it a little heat. I'm just gonna cook this for 2 minutes, just until the garlic's really fragrant. Now, cioppino was invented by Italian fishermen in San Francisco. Everybody would go out and catch fish for the day, and if one fisherman didn't catch anything, all of the fishermen would share a little bit of their catch, and so he too could make big stew for his family, and that was called cioppino. Okay, this is done. You can smell the garlic and the fennel seeds. So I'm gonna add 28-ounce can of San Marzano tomatoes. It's crushed. San Marzano isn't a brand, it's a kind of tomatoes. It's a place in Italy that I think has the best tomatoes. Okay, next thing I need is 1.5 cups of white wine. And you know I always say, use a white wine you would drink. I'm using Pinot Grigio, but you'll have 1/2 bottle of wine left to drink. Okay, now I need a tablespoon of salt. This is a big pot of seafood stew. 1 teaspoon of pepper. And next is 4 cups of seafood stock. Just pour it right in. It's a really rich stock. And this is gonna cook for 30 minutes. And while that happens, I'm gonna tell you how I made this gorgeous homemade seafood stock. Makes all the difference in the world. I put 2 tablespoons of olive oil in a pan and added shrimp shells from 1 pound of large shrimp, along with 2 cups of chopped yellow onions, 2 chopped carrots, 3 stalks of chopped celery, and mixed everything together and cooked them for 15 minutes. Then I added 2 cloves of minced garlic, gave it a stir, and I poured in 1.5 quarts of water, added 1/2 cup of dry white wine, like Pinot Grigio, then added 1/3 cup of tomato paste, 10 sprigs of fresh thyme, including the stems, 1 tablespoon of salt, and 1.5 teaspoons of black pepper. Then I brought it all to a boil, lowered the heat, and simmered it for an hour. When the time was up, I strained the stock through a sieve, pressing the solids, poured it into a quart container, and put the lid on. Done. I know it takes time to make your own seafood stock, but it really makes a difference. Look at the depth of flavor of the stew. But if you don't have time, you can always buy some from your seafood shop. Okay, this is the base. Now I'm ready to put the seafood into it. So I have 1.5 pounds of cod. I'm using cod because it's got a firm flesh. Anything too flaky and it'll just kind of dissolve in the stew. This is really a full meal in one pot. I might serve it with a salad to start and then the seafood stew. Okay, so that goes in, right into the stew. And at this point, you don't want to stir it too much because you don't want to break up the fish. Next is 1 pound of shrimp. I actually buy it peeled and deveined. It's 16 to 20 count, which means there's 16 to 20 shrimp in a pound. They're pretty good size. Or you can buy them with a shell on and save the shells to make stock. Always a good idea. Just gonna get it all in the sauce. Okay, next is 1 pound of scallops. I've got sea scallops, and what I did was I cut them in half crosswise so they're not too big. You can use bay scallops, but don't cut them. They're really small. And then I have one more thing to add, mussels. So what I've done with the mussels is I've got about 24 mussels, and I soak them in water with a little bit of flour in it, and that gets any sand out of the mussels. They kind of drink the water and, how do you say, disgorge the sand. So I'm gonna just drain these. And rinse them. I don't want any flour in the stew. Just check to make sure the mussels are closed. It says they're alive. And now I'm just gonna put it right on the top. So sprinkle it over the top of the cioppino. Don't stir it at this point. You don't want to break everything up. Put the lid on and cook it for 10 minutes. That's gonna be delicious. How gorgeous. I wish you could smell it. It's amazing. And all the mussels are open, so we're good to go. I'm gonna turn off the heat and add one more thing, a tablespoon of Pernod, which is like anise-flavored liqueur. I'm gonna put the lid back on and let it sit for like 2 minutes, just so it really permeates all the seafood. Okay, I've got one more thing. I'm gonna serve it with garlic toast, and I've got them in the oven. So I've baked slices of baguette, olive oil, salt and pepper, 400 degrees for 15 minutes. And now, in order to make them garlic toast, I'm gonna cut a piece of garlic in half and just rub the cut half right on the toast. And that way you don't have like a bite of garlic, you just have the flavor of it. And with the seafood, it's gonna be fantastic. Time to serve up the stew. It smells amazing. So I'm just gonna put it in a low, shallow bowl. You wanna get some of the seafood, each thing, shrimp and the mussels and the fish. How good does that look? Wow. A little bit of parsley on the top of each one. A couple of toasts. And I would say that's a seafood stew that's incredibly delicious and probably not all that different from the way the San Francisco fishermen used to make it for their families. Oh, so good.